Give me the draft here. Picks and bans, thank you. Luminosity and Trifecta. LG trying to stretch this one out to a third game. And they just might be able to do it. That last one, Trifecta had a nice lead and sure it went in Trifecta's direction, but watching LG fight into this team from a deficit was really impressive. And I really think that LG, depending on the draft, might be able to take this to a third game.
I will agree with you that it does definitely depend on the draft. I like that they're leaving the Chernobog selection open this time around, though. Last time, they took a very clear step towards Zapman's direction in that we are not going to allow him to get a priority pick with indirect or direct global pressure. But Raijin also seemed like a very necessary change-up considering the last game that Paul just had.
It was just too good in the hands of Paul. Chernobog will go the way of LG, likely in the hands of Clout, but we'll see how things play out. And yeah, the Raijin was just way too much. That, of course, brings us to Trifecta. The jungle Serqet will come out, and somebody else.
I see your soul.
Cerberus. No real surprise. I was going to say maybe we see like a possibility for a healer to come through. We've seen a lot of Chang'as recently in pro play. It has not been an uncommon selection. Kumbhakarna, though, is a really interesting pickup. I think that Kumbhakarna can be a heavy interrupt factor against a Serqet, especially if he's trying to ambush out of danger. You could take away a pretty heavy part of her mobility.
Love, love, love the Awilix selection. First of all, I just think Awilix is underrepresented in the Pro League, full stop. She's problematic late game with her ability to get into trouble with her positioning, but early and mid game, she's a monster. But more importantly, she really counteracts the Serqet. Once the Serqet tries to ambush out, you can just yank her down there. Really, really, really like this choice. Likely to be in the jungle, but Awilix has been weird other places, and Kiki is on this team, so you never know.
Surprisingly enough, also, though, Luminosity banning out the Uller despite having the Awilix, so still some concerns for Zapman to get a priority pick here. Or, excuse me, they don't want to worry about the double Hunter composition. Caught myself in the making. It's not so much Zapman on the Uller as much as it is Paul on the Uller, and even taking some more shots towards that mid lane. Agni going to be removed, but that just means that Paul gets his OG pick. It's the Habwa.
Hebo, I think Hebo is a better jungler than a mid laner, unless Paul's on your team. Then you let Paul play Hebo, and we'll see how this one goes. This is the character that Paul made a name for himself on, not just in the minor league, in the console scene, in the Challenger Cup. Paul has been playing Hebo at a level better than you for a long time. It's going to be answered, though, by a Kukulkan and an Odin.
Not only that, Odin and Kukulkan, I mean, that's plenty of AoE control, but specifically looking towards not even just the Habwa, so much as it is the Artemis also. Achilles could maybe even struggle inside of that Odin cage. All depends if Trifecta feel confident running only one Phantom or if they're going to feel pressured into the secondary. But even still, you get out of that cage, it all depends on how you do it because you've got Awilix to worry about.
I've loved this combo for a long time. Awilix and Odin have an interesting relationship. I think Awilix is a straight counter to Odin. All he does is jump, and all she does is pull you out of the air. But when you have both, you're in the cage, you want to get out of it, Awilix is going to pull you. It's a lot of fun. Let's watch it. Game 2, LG Trifecta.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Taco. As we move into game 2 here between these two squads, that Odin can certainly be a big difference maker here in this game. A lot of you that don't have an easy time getting out of the cage, and the ones that do could be getting immediately trapped by this Awilix.
Now, obviously, it's a hard counter towards Habwa. You can't necessarily go through it, but if you're trapping in Habwa, it's like, oh no, you're trapped in with me.
Right.
That's how it feels.
Yeah, if you put him in a cage, he's gonna fill it with water, I guess, right, with a crushing wave.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, that'd be very scary. But we want to know who you all imagine is going to win this game. Go ahead and vote for us now in the Mixer poll, and let us know as we get ready to move into this game. Achilles, can you imagine getting a 10th pick him? That feels good, doesn't it?
It does. A lot of teams kind of sleeping on the Achilles. There's just so many good gods in Smite in terms of what you want to do competitively. Giannis, in particular, not picked or banned in this game.
Wow, really?
It's
Giannis
just
is still good. He still goes through walls.
I just don't understand, man. Like, some teams, like, want this god so badly that they'll ban it away if they're not going to get it. Other teams are like, yeah, we don't really care.
I like this, though, man. I mean, he struggled a little bit in game 1. He definitely turned it on in the late game on that Habwa, but early it didn't work. And now Paul, where Habwa is kind of his signature god from his SML days even to now, and now he has a chance to play at a really high level here in this game. Maybe show LG a little bit about what this Hobwa can do.
So even though Paul and the rest of Trifecta won that game, there's definitely still like a spot inside his body that got impacted and impaled by how poorly Weekend played with the Hobwa, and it hurt his soul to the point it's like, that's an injustice to my god.
I got to come out here and rep for the Hobwa,
yeah,
right?
so now he has to rep for all the Hobwas out there. It's like, all right, Weekend, let me show you how it's done.
Keeg's going to be on the Kukulkan. Another strong pick, especially with that Odin cage. Not too hard to place a tornado down a slightly smaller circle inside a pretty big circle. So nice follow-up there. The ultimate can be very strong as well if it can be lined up. Great objective secure also if they want to go for the Gold Fury. I mean, once you drop down that Serpent, it's really hard for anyone else to try and contest all that burst damage at once.
Space control is not a bad thing in the jungle side, as keegsmate will provide a whole bunch of that, whether it's in the lane with the tornado or through those little tight corridors. With that ultimate, we saw how impactful that corridor was for Paul to the Ryzen in that previous last game team fight, and it could be the same case for keegsmate.
It very much could be. It might even be worse than that. Paul brought everyone low, but didn't quite kill everybody. As Scary D is getting heavily outboxed by this Odin here so far. Still level 1.
Trading out with an Odin when you're 1 level behind, also against 5 archers. Not really sure what Scary D was doing there. Taking more damage than necessary. Having to pop more health chalices often.
Trying to keep everything as pushed out as he can as Kiki. Still feeling confident here. He was the RDO last time and faced a lot of pressure. This time on the Odin, kind of pushing Scary D back.
As much as I was just giving Scary D a little bit of flack for that, I'm realizing that he's using his longer range basic attack to be able to proc the Warrior's Blessing and get a better trade off against Kiki by having that 1 stack advantage. And you refresh it every 10 seconds, and every stack is going to matter to get that rush of 15 physical and magical protections.
Get that Warriors must complete as soon as possible. Scary D, now level 3, should be having a much easier time here in the lane already once he gets all those abilities online. And is using those potions as well as a tick right back up. 1 still available for Kiki, so a slight advantage for Kiki there.
That's right. Scary D just consumed his last 1. Not going to have that for a moment, but still has teleport available to refresh that up if he chooses to back. Probably doesn't want to back until he's got the Warrior tab completed. But the longer this game goes, Scary D is just constantly getting more physical power and more movement speed based off of that passive.
And just that quickly, Scary D is the one playing aggressive here in this lane. And aggression probably going to be the name of the game across the board. Looking across the board to LG, Geno has elected for an early blink here. Not the sprints, not the shells we've been seeing more of. Even we've seen some horrific emblems. He wants to blink in and get the party started on this Kumbha.
I mean, Kumbhakarna does a lot of impactful things before level 5. So going for the blink, not a bad idea. Forces plenty of beads if he makes that rotation in the mid lane. Paul rushing his traditional Bancroft's Talon. Doesn't matter what god he's playing. Now finishing it off. Could be the prime target for Geno's blink and the rest of LG trying to shut down the Hobwa the same way Trifecta shut down Weekend's Hobwa game 1.
Especially with him going with Aegis, which I mean, I get the idea here is trying to immune the damage from Keegs. He's not going to be worried about control from his direct opposition so much as like that big burst. And the Aegis lets him get through that, but Geno might be able to punish if he rotates over 2 and catches him off guard with a blink.
Making the rotation is Mask, but not going to gank Kiki quite yet as he is level 5. Now, the way Geno could definitely punish Paul is using the epic upper strike right off the bat, letting Paul land to use the Aegis, mez him during it, and then have all the rest of the follow-up damage from his teammates to clean up.
Trifecta's dual lane needs to be careful. Weekend loop around the backside, blink into the knockup, and the feather step should definitely be a secured kill. They even give it over to Weekend. I love that. Let him get off to a good start here after the rough beginning of game 1.
Awilix is definitely a momentum-based goddess that needs that early start to thrive in this environment. Battleground of the gods, favoring out Weekend with the first blood. Mask couldn't really do anything on the right side, but Weekend does it on the left.
And these are both junglers that, even without level 5, can still have potent ganks if they can get their CC. The Cobra's Kiss or the knockup from Weekend, even the Feather Step to a certain extent. And Weekend kind of putting that on display. Didn't really need that Moonlit Charge there to be able to get that done. A great play from Weekend in the dual lane.
Scary D really bullying out Kiki with this 1 level advantage just now. Hitting level 6 is Kiki as the back camp's even stolen away by Scary D.
Totally, I know this is a hot take, but Achilles is good.
He's pretty good, man.
He's good.
That's a good hot take.
Play him. Pick him before the 10th spot. Scary D has a pretty easy time over here in the solo lane. We'll see how impactful he is once he starts making his rotations here in a little while around us. They have Mass still lurking in the jungle. Pings are coming out. Perhaps they recognize he's over here.
Doesn't have
Yeah,
the blink.
looks like he might be on a ward.
Doesn't have the blink, but yeah, he is right on top. And Kiki's positioning himself perfectly. Weekend actually going to be trapped, forcing out the rotation from Clout.
Comes right into the board, but I don't think there's enough room for him to escape. Clout brings him down. Even Keegs rotated over. Looks like he got the assist credit there, so a nice fruitful rotation from him as they bring down Zapman in the duo lane. That's 2 kills onto this Artemis already.
I don't know what it is about Mask and trying to gank the solo lane, but game 1 against Kiki's RDO, he had 1 successful gank, not too much there. Mid lane,
Whoa.
Paul gets blown up. Great ultimate from Keegs.
And great beads as well to allow him to get back underneath the tier 1 tower. Mask gets rooted, knocked up by weakened beads while he's in the air, so the feather step can land. Geno gets in to try and even this out. He loses the last breath, but it really just locks him down, and Weekend comes in for another kill. A 4-0 start for LG.
Paul didn't even have time to use his Aegis when he landed the epic uppercut from, or sets up rather, the keegsmate's ultimate. That's a lot of burst damage on a very squishy god. Habwa is one of these gods that has a lower health per level base, and abusing it now while he's only level 6.
And Keegs is one that we talked a lot about, especially when he first came into the SPL at the start of Season 5, or first came back to start off here in Season 5. He had a great performance. We talked about how he didn't look like he needed a whole lot of time to acclimate here to the SPL. They've slowed a little bit, but Keegs continues to show off his mechanics, his timing, his understanding of the game. A great play there, along with Geno, of course, who comes in to get the kill on the Paul. And then Mask comes in, looking a little bit lost when he makes that rotation. He also gets punished.
Trifecta are just a different team when they're not getting the plays that they are looking for. Now they're going to be on the defensive for a little bit with this experience deficit in the mid lane. Paul doesn't have the same range the way he does with the Raiju Percussive Storm of game number 1. He needs to be a little bit closer to apply some damage with those water cannons.
Totally. I like the way that you put that. Trifecta are a little bit stubborn, aren't they? And when it works for them, that's when they're looking really good. But when they kind of insist on doing some stuff that doesn't quite work, then that's when they get punished. I mean, as you said, Mask really sat in solo lane last game, doing it again here. This game, it was a little bit more fruitful in game 1. This time, it's created a lot of space for Weekend to freely operate other places on the map.
Mask, attempt number 3 in the solo lane, around the corner, trying to hide, waiting for Kiki to jump more than anything, but Kiki's not biting. Looking at the warding situation, it's right next to his blue, but it's not around the fire.
Paul uses the ultimate. That was good timing because Geno was going to epic uppercut CC chain him, but now there's nowhere to go. He does get the knock up. The staging torrent from Neil does control 2, but Geno can't quite land the groggy strike. Paul should be out. It costs him everything, but he makes it out.
What a rotation from NeiruMah. Shell being used, even the Stygian Torment, just to peel off those pesky members. Geno trying to run away. Great tornado from keegsmate. The rest of Trifecta not going to chase past that.
Cobra's Kiss to try and interrupt the groggy strike. Wasn't quite there. It looks like they both got hit. Zap comes in to try and strip away this purple, but a little bit too late.
Couldn't really find the steal with a third ability or any sort of cleanup kills. This is so tricky for Trifecta unless they can find the kill. Odds a Weekend. Paul with the damage. And that's the kind of synergy you really need to exploit. This beadless Awilix. If you catch her out of position with one Cobra's Kiss, the last breath is to follow, and you get a little bit of a knockup from Paul, and that's going to be one dead Weekend.
Just kind of chilling there in mid lane and gets that kill over to Paul, who needs that help. He's getting controlled by Geno. Has no Aegis, nothing following up. The ultimate comes through from Keegs and flattens him. Paul, we'll see a little bit later as he heads back to base.
That combination showing its true potential for the second time in a row against Paul. This time, he didn't have his Aegis, but wouldn't have mattered. Perfectly timed ultimate out of Keegs to follow up.
And when we talk about ultimates to follow up off good setup, this is what we're talking about. I mean, yes, there's still some other mages that are going to have good damage no matter what behind it, but an ultimate like that just ends the discussion the second you're back. I mean, that's that big mage burst ult afterwards that you really like.
I mean, look at the base damage. Even rank 1, 400 damage on an 80-second cooldown. There's plenty of synergy between that because Epic Uppercut is also a 75-second cooldown, so you're looking at about a 180-second Aegis timer. You can have multiple tries. Even if you don't time it perfectly, you're going to force out the Aegis.
Paul has to use the ultimate defensively yet again. Weekend this time gets that forced down. And even is able to live to tell the tale as Paul's back underneath the tier 1. But Keegs, he's lining up to try and find these shots. We saw the scaling on that ultimate too.
Yeah.
I mean,
120.
He's in a great spot here right now, and he's building into that mana build that his Kukulkans like so much. No Mage's Blessing for either mid lane. He wants even more power to synergize with his passive.
And it works out so beautifully for him. Even going for Shoes of Focus for that additional mana, the 10% cooldown reduction, putting that 80-second cooldown ultimate down now to 72. Even a better look to force out more aggression onto Paul. And that's the way he shut down Hubwa. We saw it in Game 1. Same story here in Game 2 on the other side of the thing.
Remember, no beans available either. The Aegis only helps him if he's able to get back down and get it off. And the way Keegs has been timing it, there really hasn't been much of an opportunity, as there's a bit of a lull here for these last few moments. Gold Fury's up, if LG want to look at it, but they're looking more toward these buff invades. Now they are moving down towards the Gold Fury. They've got great secure with this Kukulkan as they started up.
Can Trifecta hold on?
burning
Gold
fast.
Fury less than half health. There goes the Spirit, the 9 wins.
It was too early.
It was, but they still, actually Trifecta, yeah, they steal it away. Geno now goes in the Sleepy passive. Paul cleaning up Weaken. Zapman takes out Geno's life. Luminosity, they just dropped the ball.
That just that easy, Tully, just that easy. It ends up getting taken away from them. Keegs doesn't do quite as much damage to the Gold Fury as he thinks that he does. Neil walks up, and I believe it was him with the paralyzing spit.
Wow.
Just takes it. A 2,000 gold swing, 2,000 experience as well. 3 for 0 kills. Trifecta, just like that, are back in it.
This is what separates
Oh,
LG
man.
from being an elite status team from an above average team, and it needs to be the Gold Fury secures. It needs to be some sort of momentum swing things, because they have the ideas and the mindsets.
Because that call's right, right?
That's the right call.
call.
Absolutely, that's
Yeah.
the right call to do. Unfortunately, they just couldn't secure it, and keegsmate was sitting at level 11 with the tier 2 penetration item. Doesn't have Spear of Desolation, doesn't have Spear of Magus, like no real penetration to his name to secure it the way he really wants to. Maybe if they waited till level 13, give keegsmate the level 3rd point to the ultimate for more of a guaranteed play.
Either way, it ends up being a little bit too early. Neil makes a great play, not to just come in and help contest the objective, but afterwards with the Staging Torment to help get some control. Now the ult comes out from Keegs. This time it is again off the mark. Mask able to retreat with that Deathbane. He'll survive.
Keegsmate, he was just too far away to
Right.
time the ultimate the way he really wanted to. By the time he used the ultimate, already on the ground was Mask, getting away just in the nick of time with the Deathbane, clean disengage. If he was a little bit closer, Keegsmate, that would have been a guaranteed kill.
And I think that was just them forcing it a little bit because Geno realized that the window on that Blink ult was kind of closing. So even though the timing wasn't quite there, they kind of forced it, try to see if maybe they can still find that pick, and they can't. Mask ends up getting away and still has beads and Blink. He's still comfy.
Definitely sitting pretty with those 2 relics, one offensively, one defensively. Trifecta looking really solid now to make this comeback. Scary D still being this lane bully against Kiki, even under the tier 1 tower. Not going to go under it to take any damage, but hugging the tower line, sees that the blue buff's not coming back up, identifies that the teleport is coming through for Kiki, so he's going to look for some proxy farming or a rotation underneath for this red buff.
Red buff is being grabbed, but no one else from Trifecta are nearby. Achilles
I thought he was flanking for a
playing
sec.
pretty aggressive, but Scary D can't quite find it. Instead, he might come in underneath Geno here in the mid lane. Mask goes in with the last breath. Scary D right here to try and follow up if an execute ends up being needed, and he does find the fatal strike. Another kill for Trifecta. They've evened up the kill count, and Scary D's out.
20 seconds remaining until Geno spawns. Trifecta not going to get anything off of this in terms of towers or the Pyromancer, but still a good little damage check to see how fast it's going to take to kill Geno in the next team fight.
But totally, doesn't it feel like all the momentum is just out of Luminosity, like air out of a balloon?
Oh,
You
yeah.
just stabbed a hole in the side of it. I mean, they got such a great start. Week was making some great plays. Keegs had good rotations, but now Trifecta are the ones who are grouping up on the map and finding picks. That one play really has kind of turned this whole thing around.
It was like a boxing match where LG were throwing a lot of fast punches against Trifecta in the early couple rounds, and Trifecta absorbing the punches, taking it and rolling with it against the ropes until finally landing that one haymaker against LG that really matters, sucking the air right out of their gut.
Now, this is still early, so that doesn't mean the game is over. What it's effectively done, though, is negated this early start where Awilix can be so strong, where they had all that pressure. They've kind of equalized things back out, if not a little bit back in their own favor. Paul comfortable now with getting kind of leaning into his build. Mask going to be coming further online. Zapman, of course, in this late game. Artemis is feeling great about his prospects as this game continues.
There goes the Blink ultimate, and Kiki's trapped in with Paul.
The ultimate does come down from Keeg, so at least even things back out, but KikiSoCheeky removed from the damage from Paul there in the mid lane. It's a great play from Keegs to at least make it 1-for-1.
Oh, NeiruMah gets the stun, forcing out the beads. Where's the Stygian Torment? The beads were used. Oh, he didn't have it. It just came off cooldown, Finch. So unfortunate for NeiruMah.
Would have been a great kill if they could have found that. They're going to have to settle for the red buff invade, and I'm sure they're not too bummed to be able to grab that, but Keeg should continue to be an easy target without those beads. Geno does get the stun off on the Zapman, but he drops the board. The target is going to be Geno now. They pull him right back in. He's got the passive, but not going to save him. Zapman gets another kill, and perfect timing, of course. Gold Fury 5 seconds away.
A 2-for-1 as Kiki and Paul revive. It's a race to get to the middle lane. Mask trying to make a play onto keegsmate. The damage over time, just enough to take out Keegs.
Last breath ticks right on through. Weekend now in a little bit of trouble. He's got to run away as Scary D makes the rotation over. Kiki back among the living here as they are not going to go for the Gold Fury just yet, but Trifecta kind of doing whatever they want across the map. Gold Fury now being looked at. Only Kiki around to look for the steal.
How are they going to stop this is the name of the game for LG. NeiruMah doing a good job zoning.
Perfect.
Trifecta secure it. LG not interested in contesting because they're getting a Pyromancer.
Not quite even there, the Pyromancer and the Gold Fury, but at least LG gets something off the back end of it. They realize they can't contest, so they go grab their own objective to try and mitigate the loss as much as they can. But look at this now. Mask out in front, 15-13. NeiruMah out in front of Geno. He's been an easy target for them on this Kumbhakarna. Trifecta looking comfortable.
And NeiruMah backing to finish off the Phantom before Geno is even sitting at that level 12. So Phantom for Scary D, Phantom for NeiruMah, to be able to avoid some of Kiki's pressure from those cages. It's going to be important to keep Paul and Zapman alive, and that's why this Odin pick was very fruitful. It's not just to shut down one, but to shut down both.
You know, part of me is still back in that mid lane with Kiki where he dies to the tier 1 onto Paul and just gets erased. That was a lot of damage coming out from this Hobon. Paul itemizing an even more pin, Spear and the Obsidian Shard. I mean, even Kiki, even Geno won't really pose much of a problem for him.
I mean, the Evolved Warrior's Blessing is not enough protections to deal with this level 15 Hobwa. Still needs to finish it off. Scary D trying to run away for the moment. Kiki traps in Mask. There goes the last breath. The ultimate connects onto 3.
Perfect from Weekend now, recognizing Mask is up in the air, gets the pull, brings him right on in and finds the kill. Kiki wants to keep on aggressing, but they can't find anyone. The cage is already down. Paul and Scary D are waiting if they want to come too far forward. Weekend wants Neil, who's a little bit left to the left, but no one is going to go in any further. They're going to turn towards Zap instead.
Trying to go onto somebody. Paul making the rotation onto Clout, avoiding the tornado. The execute gets avoided by the Aegis as Clout survives that one. Still more action in the mid lane as they mess out Scary D. Zapman trying to defend his own red buff though on the left.
They're going to drop the tornadoes down on Scary D. Paul's ultimate off the mark this time, so they can't find the kill there. Meanwhile, Weekend going aggressively for the red buff. Zapman gets controlled. Keegan gets him. Yes, NeiruMah picks up 3, but no one is there to follow up, and Weekend should be out of here by now.
Great ultimate from Kiki just to save his teammates. Keegs using that tornado. Scary D needs to connect, gets out Keegs, but not until Paul dies to the tornado.
Now Luminosity are the ones who are regrouping and answering back, and it's not by grouping up the way that Trifecta likes to fight. They've kind of spread this focus out a little bit more. Some going for the red buff invade, some in this fight in the middle lane, not letting these wombo combos from Trifecta happen all together.
Utilizing the Living Nightmare out of Clout's Chernobog beautifully to go chase out Zapman. And Zapman did a lot of damage in return, being very patient with that boar until it was necessary, forcing out some defensive relics out of Clout. The beads was used trying to avoid that stun into the trap combination. And Zap was actually pulling that shadow towards the trap just to make sure that he was going to be a sitting duck once he landed.
Trifecta need to regroup after LG have made a strong surge here of their own Tully. A lot of low health bars escaped in that last fight. Might not be as likely to happen if it's a big 5-on-5, but in those spread out fights, Weekend can find his way to you know, kind of wiggle in and out. So can Keeg, so can Kiki. And this LG team have responded. They took that haymaker you mentioned earlier, but they don't appear to be reeling. Not yet. They know they're still in this one. A very strong team that certainly still have a chance.
Keegs is doing a wonderful job with the placements of his Tornado, getting the Spear of Magus, giving him really the penetration that he needs onto anybody, especially on the squishy target of Paul. If Paul gets hit even one tick by the, if he like barely steps into the Tornado, he's going to lose about 33%, if not more, of his health.
Up at the top of the player damage charts where Kukulkan often is when he's in the games. Those Tornadoes just do so much damage in team fights, and that's only going to get worse for the likes of Trifecta, continuing to try and deal with them. Gold Fury should be back up in another minute or so, but they want to fight in these jungle corridors. Zapman's got to run away from the Tornadoes as Clout moving up aggressively. Looks like he might want to try something here, but got to be careful. Neil's right there in the jungle.
Trust his teammates to be able to make that play. Has the ward a little bit behind the Gold Fury to see if there's any rotation happening, but outside of that, there's no really advanced vision on the top left mid Harpies, and that could be the pathing that Trifecta could take to start rotating in the duo lane.
A ton of Magai's cloaks, though, coming out from the side of Trifecta. They're worried about this control. There's already one for Neil, already one for Mask, and looks like Scary D's even working on one, too. They want to try and get away from this control as easily as possible.
That Kumbhakarna from Geno is putting in the work. The Blink mezzes, the Blink epic uppercuts. It's really setting up Keegs to do a lot of damage. Whether or not he hits that Spirit of the 9 Winds, even the Tornadoes are dealing a lot of damage to allow himself to get that top player damage. And I think that Trifecta are doing the right thing by going for these Magai's cloak. If you avoid the one initial CC from Geno, you could just reposition yourself to avoid the follow-up damage from Keegs.
And it's not that easy for them to take those Magai's cloak bubbles off. I mean, Geno, if he's close, can do it with the Mez, but other than that, it's not the easiest thing in the world. As Weekend gets a little bit caught out, Mask drops his whole kit, but Weekend should be fine. He does have a little bit of extra control in there. Looks like, by the way, the Spirit Robe, so he'll make it back to base.
That full combo, putting Weekend at 10% health. And that could be problematic now that he doesn't have his beads. And keep in mind also that that Spirit's Robe saved his life for the moment.
I think so, too. It's very strong after you get hit by that control. Getting a little bit tankier as a result. They can't grab this tier 1 tower in right as Paul takes a chunk to the face. Geno goes in aggressively, can't find the epic uppercut. Paul uses the crushing way to reposition. Geno very low, paralyzing spit. Not going to be enough. The Kumbhakarna will survive.
Oh, NeiruMah definitely could have used his ultimate there to take out Geno, but with him being in the red, still a 5-on-4 advantage for Trifecta to do something with, so they get the tower on the left side with Clout all the way on the right. Keep in mind that he has that global ultimate if he ever wants to defend the left and chase down Zap, but instead getting some free solo farm.
Letting Clout come over, he just grabbed this lane all to himself. Meanwhile, the rest of Trifecta kind of grouping up around this Gold Fury. Remember, Clout can join this fray at any time with his own Living Nightmare ultimate, so I like them putting him over here in the solo lane, bullying Scary D a bit and getting some free farm. I wouldn't be surprised if, depending on how the games are going at the state of that time, that we might see this a little bit more.
Definitely could be the case. Gold Fury respawning. Trifecta just spawning it across there with the Sentry Ward for themselves right on top of it. Neither team really wanted to pull the trigger without a clear and distinct advantage, whether it be the case of defensive relics or the case of a player advantage. But knowing that Weekend doesn't have his beats, they're baiting this out. They want to catch out the Awilix.
Trifecta have already bursted the Gold Fury. Now they're looking for the fight. I mean, Cloud's not even here yet. He's still split pushing. Geno gets pulled in, and he gets bursted very, very quickly. He gets put into the passive, and Mask going to be the one that tries to take him out of that. Weekend falls already. Now the ultimate from Keegs does eliminate Zap and bring Paul very low. In fact, the Tornadoes are still ticking, and Geno comes in to finish him off. But Scary D finds Keegs, finds a double by taking down Geno as well.
So much damage. Clout and Kiki trying to survive. Good dash against that third execute, but keep in mind, every time Scary D uses that Fatal Strike, he becomes more and more vulnerable.
Cloud has to use the Aegis to try and reposition. Mask comes in as well. Scary D removes the Hunter before he can do any more damage. Kiki trying to get out what damage he can to the low health Mask and NeiruMah. If the shield can explode, Mask will fall, but Deathbane gets him away.
Oh, that jump is good though. It's a 4 for 3, but Trifecta come out on top with the Gold Fury, their third one of the game at the 25-minute mark. Not that much of a lead to speak of, but Kiki, he's not done yet. forces out the Phantom. NeiruMah misses on the stun. Kiki making it a 4 for 4.
I mean, yes, Kiki's making some nice plays, but why are they still fighting this? Why?
Yeah, they actually went south towards LG's camp. That should have been a hard disengage.
They even kept going when it was just even in the 3v1. I mean, yes, Kiki made some excellent plays there, and I don't want to take anything away from him, but Trifecta getting a little bit a tunnel vision. Perhaps they're trying to take down that Odin on the back end, when they could have fallen back and tried to find something else on the map. But either way, Kiki finds a couple of nice kills there, evens that back out in the back end. 13-13, only, what, 2,000 gold or so separates these teams. It's still very, very close.
And honestly, Mask, when he used his Deathbane to get away from Kiki, he could have used his Deathbane onto Kiki to limit the health shield to prevent the explosion damage and maybe find the kill afterwards. But instead, he thought for sure that that would have cut the distance he needed to escape. Unfortunately, the direction of where it was going was closer to LG's minimap.
Pyromancer going to go the way of LG as well. Give them a little bit extra movement speed once they leave the base. They don't really want to start this Fire Giant just yet. Still have a lot of beads and Aegises on cooldown on Keegs and Clout. Not quite ready for that fight yet, but Trifecta might recognize they're pushing forward here in solo.
They're trying to make something happen after losing the Pyromancer.
Scary. He's looping around on the backside here, Toli. He is going to be able to make it through Geno's mess. Tier 1 tower ends up falling. The rest of LG are on their way. Trifecta kind of group up and force down the Tier 1 and right. But I think that's all they're going to be able to get.
Clout on the left side, just daring Trifecta to force a team fight on the right side with that Living Nightmare available. Sitting at about 4.5 items, working on his Wind Demon after Poison Star's completed. A lot of damage onto Kiki.
He's in the execute threshold. He makes it out thanks to the Odin cage coming down, so that means they're not going to be able to find that kill in the end. Neil is very low, and Clout has the autos they need. Neil gets removed very early on. Mask is lurking on the right-hand side, but he can't find the knock-up either. In fact, tornadoes are still ticking, and Kiki's back in full health with the teleport. He wants to keep right on fighting. He's even got the Pyromancer buff to get him in. Blink in, looking for Paul, who has to use the Aegis. Mez comes out, epic uppercut should be enough. Geno finds that one.
Zapman and Mask in a lot of trouble. Kiki and Geno leading the charge. Groggy strike, forcing out the Aegis from Zap under his own Phoenix, trying to kite under the trap as long as he can. Scary D making his appearance, but it's a little too late.
Well, Cloud has showed him now, and he's got plenty of damage if that is what they feel like they need. They're not going to go for this Tier 2 tower, not with Scary D lurking. They're going to fall back. They've still got all 5 members alive. In fact, Weekend is pushing the Tier 2 in the middle lane, and the Odin cage keeps Scary D back.
These jungle fights are too dicey that Trifecta are rolling for because of the damage out of keegsmate. Yes, there is an Odin cage, which is negated by 2 Phantoms, but the Tornado and the Spirit of the Nine Winds, the repositioning is just too much for Trifecta. They can't avoid that many abilities, and as a result, keegsmate still at the top of the player damage charts, getting the better end of Paul.
It's rare a fight is as clear as they weren't able to kill Kiki, but they weren't able to kill Kiki. I mean, that is really just that, right? He teleports back in. He's the one that hunts down those low-health targets and really keeps that fight rolling. If they are able to take him down before he can reset, I mean, that fight is entirely different.
Surprised they didn't go for the Fire Giant with a crazy advantage afterwards, but wanting to get a little healthy, spend all that gold in hand, and the game is still very even.
Yes.
Only a 1,000 gold lead for LG. 3 kills are separating these two teams, and the experience doesn't even matter considering that there are several level 20 players on the battlefield. The only difference realistically is this 2-level disadvantage for NeiruMah, which is funny considering NeiruMah was level 12 while Geno was level 10. Now it's the other way around.
That's right. The Cerberus has struggled a little bit here in the late game, surprisingly enough, but Geno has been playing excellently on this Kumbhakarna and really has been a problem for Trifecta, disrupting the fights, interrupting their flow, creating or isolating targets for SST to follow up as Weekend loses the Magai's Cloak there on the left-hand side. Clout continuing the split push, of course. The ultimate comes out from Keegs, doesn't really hit home. Weekend and Mass both jump away as Neil gets low on the back end of the fight. In fact, Weekend jumps over. He wants to keep looking for Neil, who brings over the ultimate and is able to lock down Kiki.
Scary D's doing a great job zoning. Without Spirit of the Nine Winds, this fight is going Trifecta's way as they take out Kiki. Great job baiting out so many abilities. The Living Nightmare was used. Only thing that wasn't really used was Geno's epic uppercut and Paul's crushing wave, which should favor Trifecta at the end of the day. If Paul can position himself correctly.
It's pretty nice when you can win a fight without even having to use the Crushing Wave ultimate. Weakened backing, but all the Trifecta here, he's got to be careful. Gold Fury is in their sights. They still got weakened Keegs and Geno.
They can't defend this, surely.
They're going to try for it. Geno blinks in. Mez lands onto 2. Keegs is going to follow with the Tornadoes. Now they're pulling the Gold Fury. Luminosity do steal away the objective, but they got to get out with their lives. Keegs falls to Paul. A little bit of help coming out from Mash. Geno and Clout have got to run. The target is going to be the Kumbhakarna on the right-hand side.
They want to go for it. Mask still has his Mad Guy's cloak. Geno's going to run away with the epic uppercut, but Mask jumps in. Clout gets hit by the knockup. Still tanking the tower is NeiruMah, while the rest of Trifecta go for the tier 1.
Kiki comes right back in, blinks in, drops the cage. Phantom gets everyone out as they grab the tier 1 tower in mid, but LG steal away the Gold Fury. They only lose Keegs in the tier 1 tower on the back end forward, but with 25 more seconds, can Trifecta capitalize on no Kukulkan?
They should at least try, at the very least. The damage from Paul is available. He still has Crushing Wave to secure that Fire Giant if they want to go for it. Or at the very least, a Pyromancer. Keegs up in 10 seconds. Obviously not having teleport or any kind of global pressure. I'd be shocked if Trifecta don't force something on the right side of the map.
Pyromancer being looked at by Zapman and Scary D. Geno comes in first to try and defend. They are going to try and pull this objective, and it looks like this time LG aren't going to fight. It's just Pyro that they're looking for. It's not that big of a deal here in the late game, so Trifecta grab that one for free after forcing back Keegs earlier by way of death, really.
They're still kind of looking to pop some Mad Guy's cloak as Scary D leading the charge on the left side. Finishing off some items is Zapman trying to go for some more crit. Probably going to be the Deathbringer. Scary D gets mezzed out. No real follow-up quite yet. Paul, also 6 items deep. He's at his final form at this point with the Spear of Desolation. The Obsidian Shard and Spear of the Magus. That's a lot of penetration to write home about.
This split push, though, is really starting to pay dividends for LG.
Uh-oh.
Cloud has the tier 2 and left, but yeah, he can just do this. Just leave.
Well, he sees where all of Trifecta are, and he's going to force a team fight on the right side.
He comes in to follow up. Geno goes into the front line, but gets blown up in return. Has to start falling back. Mask is still not here yet. He and Zapman went over to try and deter Clout, so they've got to make a long, slow walk to get back to this fight. Trifecta don't give up too much. In fact, they didn't even have beads for that fight. Those will be ready the next time they engage.
Just using the Living Nightmare. That's the only thing expended. Geno took a decent chunk of his health pool, though, without 33% of his health. The LG still going to go in here, though.
Jumping in place is Mask and ends up working. Geno gets controlled, pull back in. The passive is procced. Kiki comes in to drop the cage, but he can't stick around very long either. In fact, Phantom means Trifecta can walk right on through. LG have to fall back yet again. Trifecta come back towards the FG. Looks like they're pulling it this time, Tully.
I'm not sure what stunned Geno, but as soon as he blinked, instant stun. Didn't have time to even use that epic uppercut or the mess. A clean pick onto the Kumbhakarnas. Trifecta secured the Fire Giant. 33 minutes in the game. Scary D using that Fatal Strike to go away north. The rest of Trifecta looking to get off a straggler, but not going to find it.
Weekend couldn't contest the Fire Giant that time, totally. Trifecta able to take it away for themselves. So another game that kind of gets stalled out by LG playing very well, very patiently, very safe. But Trifecta come out on top in terms of the Fire Giant. 3 tier 2 towers for them to grab. Phoenixes will then be exposed. But how is the defensive LG? Is Trifecta going to have an easy time breaking this base against a Kukulkan? It is not easy.
Not easy at all. LG forcing that team fight in that position where keegsmate was coming from the right, aiming left. He never used his ultimate. He didn't have the right timing. LG need to force the ultimate to go from south to north, the same way that Paul did with the Raijus, or with the Taiko drums rather, in the game number 1. It was so much burst damage, and that's where it's really easy peasy and where the mages really make their money by aiming it down these corridors. And keegsmate holds onto the ultimate during that team fight, holds onto the ultimate during the Fire Giant. We need to see more out of keegsmate in the late game, because he certainly stepped it up in the early game off of Geno's setup. Sometimes a mid-mage is to be called upon when you have no setup to be the hero your team needs.
Just to be able to find the shot. And so far, LG haven't quite been able to find them, though things are just about even here. In fact, we're approaching Who's Line hours, where the points don't really matter, totally, or at least the golden experience doesn't.
That's true.
As things are just about evened out. Really only Geno and NeiruMah, the supports that aren't 20. Everybody's just about full build, a little bit more to go in terms of gold. But this is as even as it gets as Trifecta start to barrel down. The Fire Giant, the real difference maker as they look for the tier 2 in mid, and they're going to let Scary D take the tier 2 in left on his own.
Trying to split the differences. I don't see a world where LG can realistically defend the tier 2 towers, but certainly can around their Phoenixes with just the sheer damage from keegsmate's Tornado. Can just drop it right on the edge of the circle and bait out Trifecta, and forcing them to kind of walk around the circle. Can, like, if you even split it in a 2-3 difference, LG can then separate those two piles and decide where they want to commit all their abilities onto.
Well, Fear goes down, but again, doesn't matter too much at this point in the game here, totally. Take a look at this build from Keegs, though. It's frustrating. It's frustrating watching it. The Gem of Isolation, the Spear of Magus to strip the protections, Rada to Hootie when they're low to give him that little bit of extra kick as if he needs it with that 120% scaling on his ult we talked about earlier. Tons of power, tons of pen. He's going to be swinging.
Normally, when I look at Kukulkans, I look at, are they doing the blue build? They're doing the blue build. It's all good and gravy. The only purple item that he really needs is the Rod of Tahuti for the pure amplification. And this late game damage is going to be so impactful.
Nuts.
If Geno can just find the setup, because I'm not sure if keegsmate is confident himself to go for it, or if his team just wants to wait him out a little bit, because him holding on to that last ultimate in the Fire Giant side did not help LG whatsoever.
See if he's confident enough to go for these shots, as they are having trouble popping these Magai's cloaks. Look at this, though. Mask is keeping a mini-wave pushed up in mid. That's going to pull Weaken over to defend that mid-lane Phoenix. It'll be a 4v4. Mask rotating over a little bit earlier, but the blink engage is on Geno and Kiki going right away. Those tornadoes are starting to spread. Stygian Torment gets nobody out of NeiruMah on the backhand side, but they are going to pull him back in. Weaken finds a great ultimate. Neil survives. Ult from Keegs does hit Scary D on the back end, and so do the tornadoes, but Trifecta still look okay.
It forces the ultimate out of Paul. The real target was the Habwa, and without that Aegis from the Habwa, it should be the prime target that LG focus on. The blink was expended out of Geno and Kiki, but Weaken still has his own blink. He can catch the Habwa if he really wants to engage that deep.
Trifecta were about to lose the Fire Giant buff anyway, so they go for that one push. They don't get it. Now they're going to fall back. The Fire Giant will be back up here in about 45 seconds. LG have a great defense there. It's so hard to push through the Kukulkan with everything we talked about with his itemization, just his kit anyway. They'll regroup and try and fight around this Fire Giant. And without any Phoenixes down totally, I mean, LG should probably go contest this.
They could if they really wanted to, but that last jungle fight did not go their way whatsoever.
That's
it
fair.
seems that Trifecta are adapting to the situation to be able to abuse Geno once he blinks in.
We're going to have a weird fight here in the jungle around no objective in particular. Zapman is already extremely low. He has to run away. Mask caught inside the tornado. It's a bad weather warning. Keegs finds Paul as well. Double kill as Zapman falls as well. This is a nightmare if you're Trifecta getting caught out. Neil going to be the next casualty of war as Clout and Kiki hunt him down. Double for Clout. It's a 4-for-0. Luminosity going to storm down the middle lane.
Trifecta did not expect LG to be on the red buff, considering Fire Giant was coming up. The Trifecta just out mind gamed themselves.
Yeah.
They really thought LG would be on the right side of the map and that they can cleanly get that red buff.
Over.
It could be. Scary D's the only defender. He needs to stop the damage from keegsmate. Fatal Strike is available, and that's why keegsmate is really running away here.
He's distracting them very well, though. Instead of going for the Titan, they're trying to win this fight against him. Now, LG are recognizing they're moving in towards the Titan room. Kiki is going to tank it up. Geno is going to zone away Scary D. I think LG have wrestled this game back and forced a Game 3 up against Trifecta 1-1. We're going to find out who's truly number one.
Wow, just one little lapse of judgment around the red buff is all it took.
Yes.
LG coming back in this one. Really impressive stuff, and I like the fact that these teams are really experimenting with these late-game magical powerhouses between Raijin in game number 1, Habwas in both game, Kukulkan in game number 2 is turning the tides in certain team fights.
But it's just a little bit frustrating. I mean, when you think back on why Trifecta fall, they're over a red buff. Really? I mean, that's tough. I mean, I think, as you said, they expected for there to be no one there, right?
Yeah, the red buff in the keegsmate's hands is scary. You don't want to deal with that damage, but there was a risk versus reward factor. The risk heavily outweighing the reward. Trifecta falling, extending the series to Game 3.
Well, we're gonna be heading to Game 3 here in just a moment, but I gotta ask y'all about Game 2. Who is your MVP in that one? I think you can vote for Keegs and get some of my respect.
Yeah. Keegs did a good job at the beginning of the game. Faltered a little bit towards the mid once he didn't have the setup. Right. Honestly, it was a collective LG effort. If anything, I'm giving my MVP to Geno, the way he was able to set up a lot of plays and make it happen.
He clearly was having a big impact. Beats are always on cooldown, tons of Magi cloaks, so I think that's a great pick as well. We'll see what it is that everyone votes for, and we'll go ahead and see what the desk thinks as well. Let's get their analysis.
Thanks a lot, friends. Looking at this one, well, we do get some bonus smite. The Weekend of the Boys able to bring us game number 2, game number 3 on the way, but boy, what a turnaround.
I think it was the more, I don't want to call it an unexpected turnaround because of the way that this match started out. Weekend, of course, finds the first blood on the Awilix, and then from then on out, I think that there were times where he was a little bit too aggressive, and then it was keegsmate bailing him out. We saw the Kukulkan actually completely obliterate Paul one time in the mid lane where Paul was about to find a frag, and then the next thing you know, he's eating that Spirit of the Nine Winds straight to the face, just gets deleted off the map and sent back to the fountain. And well, that was kind of the last of it from Keegs. He had a couple of other really nice plays there, but I think I would have to be on board with Tully and Finch here. Geno just set up so much with the Kumbhakarna, the mezzes into the epic uppercuts. It was just very ideal for this Kukulkan composition, and it's difficult to make the Kukulkan work out. It's not every day that you get to see this be a success.
It's hard. It's hard to really find a target for the abilities and to nail them with success. Kumbhakarna, the perfect guardian, to really set that one up. And then, as we noted in picks and bans, the Odin also coming through in the clutch. KikiSoCheeky, most valuable player. It's been a while since we've been able to say that, and honestly, watching him play this Odin is refreshing.
You watch your mouth, because Kiki will always be valuable in my heart.
Me too. That's why it's, watching the LG team. I mean, listen, I really like Kiki. I really like some of these guys. Weekend's okay. But watching this team succeed has been a lot of fun to, watch these guys kind of do it. Jokes aside, these guys are awesome people, and LG, I think, has had their struggles, and Kiki being a big part of this win is no surprise to me. I think it's fun watching LG kind of shuffle their carries.
It kind of